Hi, Holly. So what you said here is this is the number of prescribers and prescriptions. Um, so the question you're looking at, if you run it, keep in mind that a program will give you an answer for anything, even if it's completely meaningless. For example, we could add up all the numbers in this chart and it would equal this number right here, but that's a completely meaningless number. There's no reason we want to add up these numbers. And that's really what's happened here with this t-test, in the sense that it looks, is the average number of prescribers different from the average number of prescriptions? And of course, the number of prescribers in a state is going to be different than the number of prescriptions. The number of prescriptions is going to be much higher because each prescriber is going to prescribe, on average at least, more than one prescription. So the question then becomes, what is a meaningful test we could run here? And when we're talking two-sample t-test, we want to divide everything into two groups. So if we are looking at states and we want to divide them into two groups, there's several ways we could do that. We could divide it into Republican states versus Democrat states, as how they voted in the last election. We could divide it into states that have strict drug regulations, like prescription drug regulations, and states who don't have strict, and we'd have to find some way to do a cutoff between those two types. We could do low population states and high population states. We could do west of the Mississippi and east of the Mississippi, but somehow we need to find a way to divide the 50 states into two groups, and then we can look for an average difference on some outcome. So the hesitation I would have there with using prescriptions or prescribers as an outcome is that the bigger states are naturally going to have many more prescribers and many more prescriptions. So what we could do if we wanted to use prescriptions would be number of prescriptions per person in the state, or number of prescribers per person in the state. I like the prescriptions idea. So what I think we could do is try to get the state totals. Let's see. Spreadsheet of population by U.S. state. This should give us a pretty good idea. While that's opening up, I want to make sure these are in alphabetical order. And I think they are. So it looks like we have good estimates here by state. Okay, and actually, now that I'm looking at this again, I'm not seeing Alabama. I'm seeing 50 states including District of Columbia. So somehow Alabama is left off here, and District of Columbia is added in. That's okay. We'll adjust for that. So what I'm going to do here is right-click, insert a column, and I'm going to have this be the population. I want to just make sure I didn't overlook this already. Looks like that top one may have originally been Alabama. I'm not sure. The other thing that might be helpful is to have column headers here. So let me just bump. Oops, sorry. I'm going to call this state name abbreviation. This is going to be the population in, let's see what I have, 2016 is the most recent population. So I'll say 2016 population. I think this is a coding. Let me just double check over here. It looks like you do have the Alabama ones there. But it looks like this is your number of prescribers and prescriptions, 1, 2, 3. There we go. That looks like the number of prescribers. So what I'm going to do is hide everything here. Sorry, this is the actual prescriptions. I'm going to pull this over here. Okay, so now we need to pull in the population. I'm going to pull this up again. There is District of Columbia there. Let me see how many we have here. We do have everything, every state. And so I'm just going to grab these numbers right here. We're going to go ahead and leave out Alabama for now. And we'll just paste those. And as long as the states were in the same order, and I kind of double checked to make sure that they were in alphabetical order both here and here, that should give us now the state populations. So now we can look at prescriptions per person. So how many prescriptions are written in each state per person that's there. And I'm going to create a new column for this. And prescriptions per person. And that would just be the total number of prescriptions divided by the total number of people in the state. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that everyone has 2 prescriptions or so on, but on average, that's the number of prescriptions per person. Now, this itself is something we can certainly use in this right here. And I'm going to right-click, paste special, values only. So the prescriptions per person. Now what you need to do is find a way of dividing the states into 2 groups. So I'm going to create an extra column here. This column here, this will be the column that you label. So let's say you wanted to go west of the Mississippi, east of the Mississippi. Maybe 0 is west of the Mississippi, and 1 is east of the Mississippi. And you could say east equals 0, west equals 1. And you would continue to fill this out. You can do it on many other things, but somehow you need to divide the United States into 2 groups. And preferably something that'd be interesting for you to see if there's a difference between the 2 groups in terms of average number of prescriptions that they prescribe there. If you need any help then, so if you end up sorting this sheet at all, you'll want to, in fact, let me just so that doesn't happen, I'm going to delete off that column. This way, if you sort the sheet at all, then you can just copy this column and copy this column. Then you can run the test. You'll need to just put all the zeros together and all the ones together, and then you can test for difference in prescriptions per person.